Good morning. I'm Rod Hill along with Chris McGinness, and we're tracking something that started back I noticed it in the 6 o'clock hour this morning as east winds started to pick up out of the gorge, which we were expecting. I was hoping they wouldn't be so early, but they started to blow early this morning, and that started to drop temperatures in parts of the valley, especially out on the east side in proximity to the coldest air coming out of the Columbia River Gorge.
And you saw that on the modeling even 2 days ago when we were all about yesterday's event, that, hey, hold on a second, modeling actually suggested this is a possibility, and now here we are watching it. So here's the current situation, right?
Yeah, so right here in white is technically the National Weather Service is calling it a winter weather advisory, but it's issued for a threat for freezing rain, basically, which is what I put in the box there. This is today into tonight. Now, eventually overnight tonight, the moisture is expected to kind of fizzle out and get out of town. Right here, we do have a freezing rain concern in the, has that been updated to a freezing ice storm warning in the West Gorge?
Check that right now.
I just noticed that. Chris is checking that, but we know we've had freezing rain in the West Gorge this morning. And then the more bluish or purple tones here from Hood River, the upper Hood River Valley, and out to the Dalles is a winter storm warning for 5 to 10 inches of snow.
And yes, confirming that change in the color code here through the Columbia River Gorge is actually an updated ice storm warning now for the Columbia River Gorge for this specific section. Okay. So basically from Corbett out to just west of Hood River, 10 a.m. to 10 a.m. tomorrow.
And 84 is still open as far as we know.
84 reopened in the wee hours of this morning. SR 14 also opened at one point this morning with chains and traction tires required, right?
Yeah.
But obviously now that we're transitioning to more of the ice storm situation out there, that you know, we can bring up one of the Cascade Locks cameras in just a second to show you what it looks like.
So, I mean, the gorge is open. There are truckers, I'm sure, taking it wisely and getting through. But for the rest of us, if we can avoid that area, probably best to do so. Anyway, the story of the morning is the fact that we have all this moisture coming in. We have east winds all of a sudden trying to pull cold air out of the gorge back into the valley. Now, this is live Doppler radar, and it is picking up the salmon color, what would be some freezing rain extending into parts of Portland, or at least in the mix zone. And we've had a little bit out here in parts of Washington County getting up into the Coast Range in elevation during the morning hours as well. Now, there are temperatures out in the East Multnomah County that have, in fact, dropped down to freezing. Now, this is downtown. And I know, what's the temperature on the rooftop real quick?
We are now 32.7.
32.7, rounded up to 33. Or with our luck, rounded down to 32. So we were in the mid-30s this morning. This has been a steady temperature decline. So even in downtown Portland, it's looking like we are within a half a degree or so, starting to see things ice up a little bit. Now that's the number out of PDX where it's 35, and the airport was a little bit cooler, so it's been bopping back and forth. But real quick, Sandy now 32, above freezing early this morning when our sunrise show started. Gresham was, I think, 34, 35 at one point. They're now down to 30. I know Happy Valley was at least 36 at one point, now down to 30. That's 1,000 feet at that specific site. Troutdale's been hovering right around there, the freezing mark currently at 33. Now notice, you jump over the West Hills, there's Beaverton a little bit warmer at 37 and Hillsborough a little bit warmer at 36. So real quick, and then I'll let you talk, Chris. To me, the big question is, we know we have cold air on the east side. Here's 205 right here, freezing rain taking place. Does this cold air get into downtown Portland, and then does it actually get up over the West Hills out into parts of Washington County, or do we really confine our concerns today mostly to the east side? That's a big question.
And the short answer to that is maybe more likely than not, because in between some of these sensors that we have there, we do have a few more reporting sites. Granted, they're not NWS certified, but they are sometimes a good barometer of what's going on. And in between some of these data points, we actually have numerous 30 and 31 degree temperatures starting to work their way into the city limits. I also looked at one that I think is monitored by ODOT up on Barnes and Burnside. That's up at 900 feet, right near Skyline Boulevard. And that's down to 31 degrees. So we are seeing. Let's go ahead. I want to switch gears real quick. Director Megan, I want to punch up in the large monitor here. We're going to switch over real quick.
Right now we're looking at 170 on, Chris reads these ODOT cameras better than I do. What is that, Chris?
That's Marine Drive.
That's Marine Drive.
So two things you can see there. Well, three things. You can see the traffic, but you can also see the camera just bouncing around in the breeze. And last but not least, right over your shoulder there, Rod, big icicle. So,
boy, that's really moving.
Yeah, and that, I mean, so the east breeze is here. Let's go ahead. I can take a look at some of the other traffic cameras here as we cycle through this. This is I-5 up near Marine Drive. Temperatures on the I-5 readings here are generally around 33 degrees, so marginal, but again, something to watch. This is Northeast Columbia Boulevard near 42nd Avenue, so we're getting onto the northeast side of town. Obviously just rain, but and wet pavement. That's good to see. Real quick, I wanted to show you this.
This is Airport Way right here that just came up.
Yeah, so that's on the east side out near 158th. Let's go ahead. I've got the model temperatures here, Rod.
Okay.
So your point about the east wind and where we are, because that's really going to be the differentiator here between, whether or not we see, freezing rain or rain. And our modeling.
This is at 10 o'clock right now, pretty much. 10
right
o'clock
now,
this
and
morning.
it's on the dot at 33 degrees, right? 33, 34.
Wow.
It's picking up 31 in Gresham, 38 Camas, and I put the arrows on here to indicate the east wind out of the gorge. So let's just let it roll and let the clock tick away, and you'll watch that. We are teetering between 30 and 32 on the east side of town, and even at Portland, look at that, Tiger down to 32 potentially. Over, as we get into the evening hours, this is a 24-hour loop that we just showed you. So now we've fast forwarded it. Let me put some pauses in here because I don't think that's helpful. Let's Rod. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and drag this to. Let's drag this up to like 4 o'clock.
We are entering a period of time here over the next 12 hours where the temperature is going to be everything again. Are you going to somehow manage to stay at 33, 34 at your house and it's just rain? Or are you going to dip to 31, 30, and maybe even 29, and now you got icing all over the place?
So this is the graph model
at 4
p.m. Oregon City 38, Tiger 32, Hillsborough 33, Portland at the airport 31, Gresham 31, and then getting into the gorge upper 20s.
Yeah. But again, Woodburn and Molalla in the 40s, that's Decatur in 42. So again, here's that gorge outflow area. It's a very narrow channel that's really affecting the cold air, and the areas in that east wind zone drop, and if you don't pick up the east wind, you don't drop. This does, McMinnville is interesting because Yamhill County often picks up the east wind. And there it shows it down to 33 degrees potentially.
33 Banks, 31 Timber Junction. Now, granted, that's up. Timber Junction's up at what, like 500 feet or so. So we're getting up in elevation there. But actually, the thing that's driving the freezing rain is the higher you go, the warmer it goes. Right. So the morning sounding from Salem has about a 5,000 foot layer of 6,000 foot layer of above freezing temperatures. Now that's at Salem. But from the ground in Salem up to 6,000 feet, the temperature is above freezing.
Yeah, isn't that nuts? Yeah, I mean, it's been above freezing this morning at government camp last time I looked as well. But just to reiterate, we're doing the stream today. We are under a winter weather advisory for the ongoing potential today into tonight for another round of freezing rain. Now, our chief meteorologist, Matt Zaffino, in our news meeting we had just about half an hour ago, bringing up the somewhat obvious point that when we had the ice storm that hit, what, 2 days? When was that?
Yesterday.
2 days ago or yesterday?
Yeah, last Tuesday night and Wednesday. Goodness. Yeah.
You know, we had temperatures firmly down into the 20s. And in terms of getting a hard ice on roadways and everything, you really do want to get down to at least 30, if not 29, 28, 27. And that's where we were. We were in the 20s. So it's not going to be as cold this time, which is going to be somewhat helpful. And I don't think any of us are suggesting we're going to have a widespread ice storm.
Pockets.
But certainly there is concern to me
modeling is picking up on the pockets.
This area east of 205.
Getting out towards, Chehalem Hills there, right?
I mean, this is noticeable new icing, right, Chris?
Yeah,
Gresham, over a tenth of an inch. Washougal, Skamania, over a tenth of an inch. That's noticeable brand new icing, absolutely.
And it's even spitting out, 3/100 of an inch of ice for Portland.
Just a little glaze.
Portland is a large area.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got East Portland, you've got Northwest Portland, you've got Southwest Portland, but it'll vary neighborhood to neighborhood at this point.
I think, the Arctic air mass has started all this, which is still covering much of the country. Temperatures are moderating across our country today in most spots. So we're clearly in the 30s today. We're not really any significant thawing. Tomorrow, with some dry weather, we have a chance to warm up to 40 thanks to some dry hours. But then over the weekend, we will start to moderate. Overnight lows will be closer to 40 by the time we get to Sunday morning. We'll be jumping up, I think, into the mid-40s Sunday. It looks like a rainy day. And we still expect to get back into another run of several days, a handful of days in a row, midweek next week into that weekend of temperatures hitting 50 or better. So we really are still in not much improvement today, not much improvement tomorrow, a little bit of the weekend, and then you'll notice us drastically pulling out of it next week.
We've been on for 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Where are we at?
We went from 32.7 to 32.5 back to 32.7.
All right. Yeah.
So here you go. Here's Futurecast modeling once again, and I actually finally got the pauses put in here. So at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock this afternoon, it shows Portland holding at freezing. We'll advance the clock to 6, 7, 8 o'clock tonight. Again, so we're right at that marginal threshold. But untreated roadways that, whatever they look like yesterday morning and then again this morning, they're not going to change and are more likely than not, as these temperatures dip, to refreeze and re-ice over, right? Yeah. The main roads, I-5, the heavier treated, arterials are probably not going to be in terrible shape. But to your point, you were saying folks in the newsroom and your family at home, now would be a good time if you have the opportunity to maybe turn the car around and go back.
I mean, when I look back, Chris, do me a favor and flip this back to Max 1. We'll run through some other maps. When I look back in my memory to the days when we've had people when storms have come in during the day more quickly and maybe colder than what people had thought when they left their homes in the morning. And then they get caught in the afternoon, they can't get home. Not saying that's going to be the situation, but this is a situation as a forecaster. I can't promise you it's going to stay 34 at your house and not get down to 30. So it really is a day where we're to realize we're playing with a couple or a few degrees here between ice and no ice. And if you have the luxury of just calling it quits and getting yourself home or staying home and canceling the rest of your day, you're probably best to do so.
Wasn't Happy Valley 30?
Yeah, now down to 29. So we're continuously cold. West Lynn was 36 this morning, now 33. Now, during the day, and the modeling Chris just showed us did keep this area, Aurora, Kaiser, Salem, Dallas, Albany, warm. You folks will be dropping off tonight due to some partial clearing potential and some drying. But I don't think there's a freezing rain threat for you during the day. Again, Salem right now is 40 degrees. Here's a cold area we're pulling out of. 19 Pendleton are pulling, the east winds pulling from into Portland. 23 in the Dalles. Now, a day or so ago, that was well down to the teens. So, again, to the point that it's still cold, but at least the air is moderating. Spokane had been below freezing several mornings in a row. They're now at 14 degrees.
I think we had a question.
Yeah.
Director Megan, you had a question for us? Oh, got it. Sorry.
Okay, she's talking to us. There's a modeling at 2:30 just showing the gusty east winds running through Hillsborough and actually breezy winds all the way out to the Oregon coast. Notice Salem doesn't get into that. That's why you folks don't really have a freezing rain threat, and you are not in the advisory that we're following. That's just up in the Portland metro area, so that's good news. That should keep you folks fairly quiet. Here's our futurecast model that we normally show you. 1:30 this afternoon. The salmon color is pretty much where the advisory area is in the North Valley, the Portland metro, up into parts of Clark County, and then through Washington County up into parts of the Coast Range. That continues at 6:30, continues into tonight. Now here's a model that does a better job of ending the precip. Most of the models, the GFS model, if you're a weather person at home, you look at these models, the North American, the graph, the GFS all show that we have drying coming in later this evening, which is what this shows at 10:30. And then while there's a chance of a shower, nothing really significant into tomorrow morning. So that, of course, would be good news if we can dry out. Yeah.
Never has a 7-day forecast full of rain looked so good.
Oh, I know. It's absolutely nuts. Here's I can't remember which model this is plugged into, but it projects 31 in Portland at 3 o'clock, kind of in line to the modeling that Chris was showing you a moment ago. It keeps Salem at 40. That's good news. The Dow's 25. We know that we have the snow in the forecast with a winter storm warning from Hood River into the upper Hood River Valley, much of Wasco County, and including
Kelso Longview not included in this.
Not included.
Right. Yeah. So although the hills in Columbia County, are.
Yes. And then here's that warming trend that I kind of talked about a moment ago. So not much, obviously today, not much of any thawing. Tomorrow, I think the fact we're going to have some dry time could help us at least get to 40. That'd be something. And then showers or rain picking up during the day and the afternoon, I think Saturday. But here's a significant warming. Could we wake up Sunday to 40 and 46? And then could we be up into the 50s with overnight lows above 40 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and into the following Thursday? That's the way that looks. And again, I like the stair steps going up on the 7-day forecast.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and punch back to the small weather box here to just once again reiterate the areas that are involved in this particular weather situation. Again, winter weather advisory until 10 a.m. tomorrow. But to Rod, to your point, that a lot of the modeling shows our temperatures or precipitation ending, long before then. But will the temperatures get above freezing? That's the other story. So
again, I wish I was good enough to tell you you're going to stay at 34 if that's where you're at and not dip to 29. I'm not good enough to tell you that. So
32.6.
Yeah, but we do know that all the way into downtown,
around.
Temperatures have dropped in the last several hours. And now to your point, some of them are just kind of hovering right there. So it's going to be a close call. The best bet for likely hours of at least light freezing rain taking place is clearly near 205 and off to the east side as you get closer to the cold air coming out of the Columbia.
And between now and about 10 o'clock or so.
Yeah.
10 p.m. So.
Anything else, sir?
When's winter? Oh, your ice storm forecast from October seems to be verifying quite nicely, sir. Two.
You can still find that if you're interested on the KGW YouTube channel. My winter outlook, and one of the things we talked about was it would be a really crazy mild December. In fact, we projected 4.5 degrees above normal mean temperature. That turned out to be exactly the right number. We projected the really cold, the really slow start to the ski season, saying back in October that it could be one of those Christmas weeks where you're driving up into government camp and there's literally no snow on the ground. That was exactly right. But then we thought we could recover and end up in 70-some% of normal. The snowpack has jumped up to 70% of normal.
102-inch base.
So that's good.
This morning.
Yeah. And then while the forecast for the Portland specific area did not favor any snowstorms, it did favor, if we were going to have a significant winter event, it favored ice. So far, that part of the outlook is looking pretty good. Not that we want that to look good, but I smile when I say it because I did the work.
Stay safe. Stay tuned. We'll see you again soon.
Yeah, thanks for watching.